Superintendent Mike Miles recently just said, after the freeze, that he regretted shutting down HISD for the day of the freeze. Now, I try to be as positive as I can, but I just cannot see a positive to this comment. What does he mean by that? Is he smoking something? Is he on crack? What is happening? He's sick. I'm in shock. When I saw that, I didn't believe it. I was like, but the polls, you saw the polls from the previous episode, they're not too good. This is not gonna help him in the polls. Like, I just don't see this happening. But my gosh, what is even happening right now with him? Anyways, let's get into today's episode. My gosh, what is he gonna say next? Jeez. Ratings, and more ratings. That seems to be the premise of what this school year is looking like in HISD. More on that in just a little bit. Welcome back to Lessons and Whispers Inside the Teacher's Corner. I am your host, Carlos, and today we are going to be talking about ratings. Yes, how are the teachers being rated? But before we can get into that, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that's listening and joining us on the podcast. It has been such a wonderful time. I wasn't expecting people to even know about this thing, but I really do appreciate it, and I want to say thank you for that. And also, if you feel like you have the time, please rate our podcast or follow us on X at whispers_20 and let us know what you want to hear about. Remember, let us know what stories, what experiences you are curious about in the teaching realm. Like I said before in previous episodes, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but if you're unsure if we're on your podcast app of choice, please type in our podcast name, Lessons and Whispers Inside the Teacher's Corner, and see if you can find a mildly attractive man with a bag over his head. That would be me. But yes, thank you for your support. And please follow us on the podcast so you can stay up to date with any of our latest episodes. With that being said, let's continue on with the episode. Now, why would this be important? Well, obviously, you want to know how everybody is doing. You want to know how everyone is doing. If your teachers are competent, if your teachers are good, do they deserve to be there, and a whole bunch of other things. Think of it like American Idol, but it's every day of your life, right? You're just trying to make sure everything's going well. Well, sort of like that. The point is, everybody gets ratings. No matter what job you get, what job you have, you're going to get rated. Now, this year is a little special because last year you would get rated. I mean, people would come into your classroom to observe you, but they would probably come in like 3 or 4 times the first semester and then like again in the second semester, right? Now, whether or not you think that is good or bad, well, that just depends on you, what you think. I can see it being good and I can also see it being bad. For example, it could be bad because maybe teachers get nervous or it's a toxic work environment or whatever, or it could be bad in the sense that, well, shouldn't they be in there more to see how the teachers are actually doing, if they're actually doing a good job or doing their job very well? I don't know. You could look at it like that, or you could look at it as a blessing in disguise. It just really depends, right? Whereas this year, it's different. We have something called spot checks, and we're being rated differently this year. Now, spot checks are different than last year's observations in that you are observed at least 1 to 2 times a week from your admin team. Every week. Okay, that's every week. So you can expect to see your principal or someone on the admin team below a principal, like an AP or a teacher specialist or someone on the admin team, walking into your room for at least 15 minutes and taking notes, trying to figure out how you're doing. Now let's take a look at how they're rating teachers. So there's a form that every teacher has to follow, obviously. And on this form, we have certain criteria that are being looked for. Okay? Simple enough, right? Well, let's take a look at this one. Well, you are rated out of 3 domains. Okay? 3 domains. Domain 1 is your planning. Okay? There are 2 sections there, 2 sections in planning. So that's a possible point. That's possible 2 points you can get from domain 1, which is planning. Let's take a look at what's inside that. So these are some characteristics that would reflect these 2 points. So the first thing is objective aligns with state standards, logically sequenced, and can be accomplished 45 minutes or in the allotted time provided. That is the first characteristic. The second one is DOL aligns with the objective and is used to manage and analyze student data to inform next steps in instruction. Seems simple enough though, at face value. Let's jump into domain 2. Domain 2 talks about instruction. That's the good stuff. In this domain, there are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characteristics. That means a total of 8 points can be rewarded on this part alone. That's a big chunk. Let's take a look. The first point, instruction and activities support the objective and is focused on mastery. Second point, instruction is relevant and integrates other disciplines or real-world examples. Third one, direct instruction is at grade level, rigorous, and delivered in a way to maximize understanding. Fourth, provides multiple opportunities for students to communicate with the teacher and peers, or as they love to say it, MRS. You'll hear a lot about that this year in HISD. Fifth, differentiates and scaffolds instruction to support student learning. Basically, you're just supporting the kids learning. If they're not getting it, you're figuring out other ways to get them to get it, or you're not adjusting the rigor, but you're adjusting maybe questions that are being asked, or just helping them get with it, get with the picture. The next one is assignments and activities encourage higher order thinking and problem solving skills. Seventh, students read, write, discuss, and think the entire lesson. And the last one, adjust instruction and activities based on monitoring student responses to maintain engagement. All right, so that's domain 2. There's a lot that goes. Basically, it's the teaching portion. This is the action. This is what is the teacher doing? Is the teacher following each and every one of these things? Very important. Highly effective teachers can do this, and there are teachers that are doing this, but there's a lot that goes into that. It's difficult. Not every day is the same, but hey, there are people that can do it. And we have domain 3, which is learning environment. So basically, where they're learning and how are things organized and whatnot. There are a total of 5 points you can get for this, and it's a point for each characteristic. Let's start from number 1. The classroom is safe, inviting, and organized to support learning objectives. This one's hard, even though I got this one. This one's a hard one because my room looks like shit right now. Because if you've listened to the previous episodes, we don't get time to really organize or do anything in the classroom unless you want to stay after school and do it. But that's on you. The second thing is transitions, routines, and procedures are effective and support order and learning. Third, reinforces positive behaviors appropriately and intercepts misbehavior fluidly. That's a fun one. And fourth one, teacher frequently engages all students and uses a variety of MRS strategies. There it is again, MRS. Yeah. The last one, instructional pace ensures good engagement and effective use of time. Okay, so that's the learning environment. There is another one, but it's technically not a domain. It just says like the topic. But according to this, nobody scores on that. There's no points you can get for that. But basically, it's just, what are you teaching? What grade level? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so when you add all of those things together, you get a total of 15 points. Okay, 15 points. Hopefully I did the math right. But yeah, it's a total of 15 points. And you want to get all 15. Now, like I said before, it's a little unclear of what exactly that looks like. Or at least, how do you know you're rating it correctly? Now, I don't do the rating, admin team does that. But I've been told from the admin team that the rating is still a little unclear because they're not really sure how these things how to grade, or how the district wants them to grade these things. It's a little wonky. If they're wonky about it, if they don't understand how the ratings are going to be working. Now, I don't speak for all admin team, but all I'm saying is my own word. They were confused, and they're trying to make as much sense of it as they can. I can only imagine the miscommunication that is happening right now in HISD. But the point is, imagine how I feel. And I'm not the one who has to do all of that rating. I just take it. But that is the rating as it stands. Now, it's not that bad. It's pretty simple, and at face value, it's basically what teachers are supposed to be doing regardless. So I can see it. This is a much more simplified version of the rating system compared to last year's. Last year's, we had 4 domains, I think, and each domain had its own thing, and there was an average. Your average totaled out of, I believe it was out of 5, a score of 5. A 3 was proficient. That means you're a competent teacher. You are just normal, right? 2 or 1. 1, you got to get your shit together. 2, you still got to get your shit together, but you're almost there. 3 was you kind of got your shit together, but we're going to see what happens. 4 means you got your shit for the most part together, but you still got to get some more shit together. And 5 is you are a sage, you are a blessing, you are everything we want in a teacher. Please stay with us forever. Now, that's how I understood it. I could be wrong, but the point is, that was the rating system last year, and you got it averaged out. From last year, usually I would be scoring about a 3-ish, right? A 3-ish, which is great if you're just starting out. But the criteria to get above a 3 was very difficult. Very difficult. I've heard some teachers, they'd be like, I don't want to get above a 3. If I get a 4 or a 5, that just means more work. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's true. Oh, and I hear they'll send teachers to observe you more. You could look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. I would feel honored, but I can imagine the pressure would be very, very high. I mean, imagine you're known for scoring very well, getting 4s or 5s. That's a lot of pressure. Imagine like you're that bitch. Basically, you're that bitch in school. Nobody knows it because it's very private. But you know it. You know you're that bitch. And the admin team knows you're that bitch. So it's just a lot of pressure. I can't even imagine what that feels like. I just can't. But it is something that everyone should strive for. What do you have to do to get that? I don't know. I'm curious about it myself. I'm actually going to try to look for some people that do score 5s and 4s and see what they think about it. But that is the rating culture right now in HISD. Every week, expect your admin there. So if you didn't like it before, if you're getting into teaching and you're going to HIC, if you are nervous to just stand up in front of a class and speak, well, you shouldn't be, because then you shouldn't be a teacher. Or you don't like when adults come to look at you. That would make more sense, because obviously if you're being a teacher, you kind of gotta you gotta stand in front of an audience. Your kids. But then again, who wants adults staring at you while you do that? I don't know. Take it how you will. But that is the rating culture right now. It's a little wonky. We're not really sure what's happening. It's just weird. But let's get into the HISD teacher group. Ooh, I just love this part because there's a lot of shit that's going on over here, okay? Now, we were talking about ratings, okay? We're definitely talking about the ratings, so I want us to look at this post. I saw this post and, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to think, but obviously you got to keep a cool, level head. And I'm going to let you guys hear this, okay? This is a post. An anonymous member posted this on January 11th. And it reads, anybody else's principal make a bulletin board in the hallway and called it the Perfect 15 Club with pictures of all the teachers on campus that scored a 15 on their spot observations. Now, you can look at this in two ways, a positive and a negative. My ass went straight to the negative, okay? I was just like, you are shaming teachers. You are shaming teachers that aren't a perfect 15. And it just seems like you're just making people feel bad. But then if you think about it in a positive mindset, it could be that you're trying to build inspiration. You want teachers to be inspired by these perfect 15. Hey, if they can do it, so can you. But let's take a look at what other teachers thought about it in the comments section. Let's take a look. All right, so somebody wrote, that's a good way to have teachers hate other teachers. Look, if you're hating on a teacher because they're succeeding, there's something wrong with you, okay? There was something seriously wrong with you if you were hating on another teacher because they're doing well, okay? Only hate them if they're being a bitch or an asshole, okay? That is when it's acceptable. But if you are just shitting on their achievement because you didn't score like them or because whatever reason, that's messed up and you need to check yourself. You need to figure your shit out. Someone else wrote, this just so bizarre to me. Someone posted yesterday about posting pictures of absent teachers. Now this, divide and conquer. Yes, we're going to talk about that post after this post. It's hilarious, but let's continue. Someone wrote, division divides. Well, no shit. That's what division is. If I was a math teacher, I'd probably be laughing even louder right now. But yeah, and you could look at it that way. You could look at it as admin teams trying to divide the school. And I've heard stories of admin teams that actually are very toxic and hurt the school environment. But also, you don't want to just stick to the negatives. It could be that this admin team really did do this out of a place of love. I don't know. I don't go to that school. Someone wrote, and she kind of looks like a Karen. She said, disgusting. If I were on that list, I would file a grievance for violating my privacy. 5 exclamation points. Can we get some photos of that? Publicly displaying employee evaluation scores? Seriously? And guess what? If your name is not there, it is publicizing that you are not a perfect 15. Where is this? So basically, like I said, that is one way you could look at that. But I would think that admin team would ask for permission to post something like that. Me personally, I'm a shy person. I would never want my scores to be posted because I kind of want that to be private. Last year with with how evaluations were done, it was a rule of thumb that you would keep everything private. No one knew anyone's ratings unless you asked them and they felt comfortable telling you. But for the most part, it's always been a secret. I don't know if this school, the spot observations, usually those are secret, but I don't know if they felt comfortable or if they asked for consent from those teachers that they would like to be put on the board. I imagine there are some teachers that would be like, yeah, sure, put me on the board. But I don't know. If send us a message on X at whispers_20 letting us know if this is legal or if this is not legal. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Let's go to the next one. Somebody posted, this is bullying and a violation of personal information. And this one wrote, our principal handed out t-shirts to the people who got the highest spot scores. Several had no clue how they got the shirt. That's weird because they're supposed to send you your spot observations that same day that you get observed. They always send it to you the same day that you get a spot observation, and they tell you with feedback about all the things you did great and the things that maybe we could work on for the next time. So I don't know how a lot of them didn't know how they got that score. That's a little concerning because you're supposed to know how you got that score because they're supposed to tell you that in the spot form. Anyways, let's go to that other post this is another one that's very controversial. You guys let me know how you feel about this. But it says, does anyone, on the same day, by the way, January 11th. So two things were happening on January 11th. This is another anonymous member. He wrote, does anyone else's campus have a giant calendar in the admin hall where they post a picture of your face on days you call in? Like, is this the norm? Are all campuses required to do this? Or is this just something quirky my campus does? Man, I wonder. So look, I looked at this two different ways. At first I was just like, oh, they're trying to shame you because you called in. They're trying to bully you and blah blah blah. And then the other way I took it was like, maybe this is just an organization tactic. This is how they organize, that this is how because obviously if a teacher calls in, especially if it's an emergency and you don't have a sub, well, they have principal admin team has to make tough decisions. They have to figure out, okay, well, we need this person to at least take care of this room, or if we don't have a sub on hand, we need something. They need the help. Like, where are you gonna, like, these kids, however many there are, need someone in there with them. So that affects the chain of command, and that affects a lot of the employees, because what do you have to do? Some options you might be thinking of, especially if you're not a teacher or an educator, or you're thinking of going into this and you're curious about it. If there is no one that can cover that class, guess what? They split the class up and divide it among the grade level. For example, if you teach 5th grade and your partner teacher is out, that's 25 kids, let's say. Well, now they have to divide those 25 kids into the other 5th grade classrooms. But there's a problem here. If you're team teaching, okay, one person teaches math, the other person teaches reading, and your math team teacher did not show up. So what are you supposed to do with the second half of your day when you have your same class? Normally you switch and then you teach the other class your lesson. Well, now this teacher has to deal with has to have their same class and 5 new kids, and now they have to do something extra for the class who already received the lesson. This is what I say, how this can affect people in a very, very big way. And so I'm wondering if the admin team that did this calendar was throwing shade, or this is just how they organize things, and this is how people know, okay, this is, we're gonna need help with this. We're gonna need to make sure this goes with this. I don't know how admin team works, but it's hilarious nonetheless. Imagine if you called in so many times. Like, imagine seeing that calendar. And what picture do they have? It's probably the one from on HISD or something. Somebody wrote the same Karen wrote this: public reprimand, file grievance, take lots of pictures before they remove it. I'm wondering if this is a new thing, because it could be a new thing for this year. I did hear that a lot of teachers are taking time off. Okay, especially if you're retiring and you have all those days built up. A lot of teachers that are retiring, they don't want to, make their days go to waste. So they might, plan a longer vacation or take a Friday of every week off, especially if that's your last year. But unfortunately, this affects the kids. More on that in another episode. Anyways, let's see. Somebody wrote, this is a hostile work environment. Talk to the union immediately. The union, oh my gosh. I haven't joined a union, but a lot of people say you should join. I don't know. More on that on another episode, but I'm very curious to see. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I just don't know. But thankfully, I've been blessed with a wonderful admin team, and I haven't felt like I've been, taken advantage of. But then again, I am oblivious and I'm easily manipulated. So it could be that I was at one point. I don't know. Somebody wrote, I just said this to someone else not long ago. I don't know how many times I can say what the F in a day, but I'm learning it's a lot. Honey, if you're working here in HISD, you're going to be saying that a lot. Trust me, okay? Okay, I'm telling you that right now, okay? All right. Somebody wrote, how old are these people? This sounds like some high school pettiness. I don't know. Is it? Is it really public? Oh, look, somebody wrote public recommend. What is it? All supervisors. Is this from HISD? Oh, let's see. All supervisors address necessary disciplinary actions in a manner that is consistent with district's core value of common decency. Point 2. It is a position of the HISD that no supervisor shall discipline or reprimand an employee in a public setting or in a manner otherwise intending to cause an employee public embarrassment or ridicule. But the question is, was that the intention of the calendar with your name and picture on it if you called in? Was it meant to reprimand employees? I don't know. It just depends on the context. But damn, that'd be fucked up. That would be so fucked up if that really was the case. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I can't because my admin doesn't do that. But I'm trying to be empathetic here, okay? But that was just a little bit on the HISD teacher group. I love going on there. You never know what's happening, and this is one way we could find out what's happening in other schools. Not specific schools, but in other schools, because obviously we don't want to get people in trouble, and they obviously want to stay private. But anyways, like I said before, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a rating right now. Or if you want to wait till episode 8, you can wait till then. But definitely think about leaving a rating. And follow us on X at whispers_20. Send us a message. Let us know what kind of things you want to hear on this podcast. Remember, I am a teacher and in HISD, and a lot of crazy shit's happening. So if there are things that you want to know, you're just curious about it. You could be a parent or a college student that's looking into education and you want to know some more specifics. Send us those questions. Send us those stories on X, and we can talk about it on the next podcast. Like I said, we are on Apple Podcast and Spotify, as well as if you're not sure if this podcast is on your app of choice, just type in Lessons in Whispers inside the Teacher's Corner. If you see a mildly attractive man with a bag over his head, it's possible that that is me, and that podcast is available on the platform that you have chosen. But regardless, get future updates on the podcast on X, so it's very important that you follow and that you follow on the podcast app that you're listening to, so you can get up-to-date information and up-to-date episodes. You don't have to look for us anymore. Just push follow, and it's going to be right there waiting for you, okay? You're not going to want to miss next week's episode, because as you are listening to this episode today on a Monday, this week we are going to be finding out which schools become NES, or if the whole district is just going to go all in with NES schools. I'm a little nervous. I don't know, but you're not going to want to miss this. I cannot wait. I wonder what my reactions are going to be. I wonder what my teacher friend reactions are going to be. This is going to be insane. Like, I don't even know what to feel, because I don't even know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But all I know is this week we're going to find out if we're going to be NES or not, which most likely I feel like we are. But anyways, that's going to be a journey for us to take together. So if you're interested and you want to know more, please follow the podcast. Like I was saying before, you don't want to miss these episodes, especially if you want to know what's going on in HISD. You have been great. Thank you for listening. This is your host, Carlos, and you have been listening to Lessons in Whispers inside the Teacher's Corner. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.